Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. I'm Atava. I wanted to make a video talking about the past, like, couple years of my life, basically, of me progressing through the ranks of school. Obviously, high school, college, which is like the last 2 years of high school, and then university, which a lot of people I know call college. I wanted to basically tell my story of how that went. This is deeply personal to me. I haven't really told anyone about this, like, at all, like, in my entire life, and the reason for that is because I number one, I know myself better than anyone else in this entire world, and obviously you will as well. You know yourself better than anyone else will know you. That's fairly obvious, but um, I could tell the story as much as I want of my life to anyone, and it's not gonna they're not gonna know the full extent of anything. So I kind of just had this, thing of like, okay, well, why tell anyone? Like, what's the point of me telling anyone if they're never gonna know the full thing? And also, I don't really have anyone to tell it to. The only person that would even remotely know is my sister, and she probably knows like 50% of the story. But I wanted to talk about my life through my life basically from like year 7 to now, which is the year after year 12, first year of university. So I'm gonna kind of go through high school pretty quickly because I was like 13, 14, 15 years old. Like, I was a kid. That to me is a kid. And high school was it was a very I was a very dumb kid, like most kids in this world. We're pretty stupid. We don't really know what the best choices for us are. So I look back at my high school days with a lot of, like, I guess cringe is the word that I'm looking for. I look back at my high school days with a lot of cringe, a lot of like, wow, I made some really dumb decisions. Like, that's the sort of attitude that I have. But the most important part was I was just having fun. Like, I was just a young, dumb, ignorant kid. And somehow that was the most fun I had in my entire life. I wasn't optimizing my health. I didn't give a shit about what anyone else thought of me. I I was just having fun with my friends. Now, granted, they were not the best friends. In fact, they were really bad friends. I'm not friends with anyone from my high school, which kind of sucks if you think about it. Um, you know, the fact that I'm never gonna have lifelong friends. Well, I could make a friend this year and have them for the rest of my life. Of course, that'd be amazing. That's like best case scenario. But I'm never gonna have high school friends, high school friends that are lifelong. If that makes sense. Like, I'm never gonna go back to high school. It's not gonna happen again. Is what I'm trying to say. And that kind of sucks. But after many years, I've sort of come to terms with that. Um, and they were not the best friends, and I'm very glad that I'm not with them anymore. They were, and including myself, because I was like 14, 13, 15, and when you're with people who are dumb, you also become dumb. That's just how we're chameleons, right? So yeah, they were like very, and me at the time as well. We were like pretty racist, just like nuisance, like menaces, um, to like teachers and other people in our school. We're just not the best people. I know this sounds like a complete lie, but I wasn't that bad compared to some of my friends, but it was still I was still not a great person, and that's why I look back at those at high school, at my time in high school with a bit of shame almost, but I was still having fun, and every day I would go to high school. Every day I would go to school. It felt like it was like an episode of like a grand TV show, and every single day had like something special to it. Every single day had like some extra piece, some extra like plot, and that it would go on for many, many, many days, weeks, terms, semesters, years, and it was almost like it was like contributing to this massive story, kind of like Stranger Things. It's like the only show I've ever watched. It was kind of like that. It was kind of like I was literally living out Stranger Things, because every single day had something exciting and new to it. Like, I wasn't looking forward to history class, like history itself, or math itself, or science itself. I was just looking forward to being with my friends, and I had such like friendship security that and of course not everyone has this. I was just like, I don't have this right now, but I was just very fortunate to have this in high school, because not everyone has it in high school, because I knew that every single day, no matter the circumstances, I'm still gonna have someone to hang out with, like one of my friends to hang out with, because we had this massive friend group, and we weren't the most liked in school, because obviously, as I said, we were like we're like menaces to society, basically. But I never had to worry about, am I gonna be alone? You know what I mean? Like, am I gonna be alone in this class? Like, what if I don't have any friends in this class? Like, I always had someone beside me. And at the end of high school, I kind of started to realize that I was a bad person. I was a piece of shit with my piece of shit friends. And like, when you're having fun and when you're being like complete dickheads, when you're like 13, 14 years old, it's fine. Like, who cares? Like, you don't care. Like, I didn't, you don't give a shit when you're young and you're just fucking around and finding out. But when you get older, and especially 16, I think was when I realized, like, I'm basically a young adult. I'm now going into college. Like, 16 years old was my first year at college, which is basically like the last 2 years of high school before university. Like, I was turning 16, and it was like this whole thing of like, I should probably start taking my life a bit seriously. Like, it's not all about just bullying someone else or being menaces to society. Of course, I'm not like justifying what I did in high school. It was bad. Like, I was a bad person, but I still had fun, I guess, at the end of the day. And despite of the fact of me becoming a better person by like leaving all my friends and dropping all those bad habits that I did and starting to do the good ones in college, like, as soon as college started, I stopped talking to all my old friends, broke contact with them, or whatever you want to call it. I like, no contact with them at all. And I thought that would fix me. I thought, okay, this is what I need to do to get to where I want to be. I started making YouTube videos. I started doing all these things. And literally like 2-3 months into college, and it was by far the most depressing time of my life. It's like all the color out of my life was just sucked away from me. Like, and only in a space of like 3 months. Like, okay, 2023 was the last year of high school. 2024 was my first year of college. So I graduated high school in December 2023, moved into college in February 2024. And, the time between was the summer holidays. And literally, like, December 2023 was still like a good month. Like, November 2023 was still good, because we were still in high school. We were still having that fun. Only 6 months later, not even 6 months, 4 months later in March, and everything felt so much more dull. Like, despite of me not being with those friends anymore, despite of me focusing on the proper things, the right things, despite of being in a completely new environment with a fresh start, with a semi-fresh start, it truly felt like I'd gotten into the real world almost. And it wasn't an easy process, like, by any means. Like, when I cut out my old friends from high school in college, like at the beginning of college, It wasn't like it was just a snap of the fingers, they're gone. I didn't have the balls to like fully go no contact, so I just did like tiny things like leaving the group chats and all this stuff. But I was still like, I was trying to leave, but I would just keep getting sucked back in because obviously like we'd known each other for so long, we'd known each other for 4 years, and now we're going into this completely new environment where like you have so much more independence and you can like leave school in your breaks and stuff. You have so much more free time, and I thought this like in high school I was so looking forward to going into college because it's so much, you get so much more independence and freedom, and I thought that's exactly what I needed. But as soon as I joined college, everything just fell apart. Even the times where I did sometimes spend, I sometimes still spend time with my old high school friends. Even then, it was just depressing, and it was just not the same. It was completely not the same because I think I kind of knew that I have to leave these people so I can focus on myself. And once I did leave them and I was focusing on myself, I was just alone. For a long time, I was just fully alone. No friends at all. Everyone else in college was, obviously, would just join college, right? We're all new to this. Everyone's new to this. It's everyone in year 11. It's everyone's first year. And everyone's meeting people, and everyone's making new friends and everything like that. I was doing the opposite. I lost friends at the beginning of college. You're supposed to make friends. You're supposed to meet new people. I cut people from my life. I did the opposite thing of what you're meant to do. And for the first, I think, 6 months, every lunch break was just spent in the library just by myself. Now, for the majority of the time, it would just be, doom scrolling, just trying to waste that time, get to the next class. I honestly hated breaks because I just had nothing to do. I had no friends. I didn't really study that much because this was still earlier on in college, and it was miserable. It was literally in the space of 6 months. Everything, like everything I even enjoyed, like even like the little things of like walking home, and like catching the bus, and like even like recording videos. Everything was just gone. It felt like literally all the spark out of my life just disappeared. And that was the case for, I would say, the majority of 2024, which was year 11 for me, my first year of college, first of two. And I only had one friend, like one new friend that I made who also went to a high school, but I never really talked to him in high school. I just started talking to him in college because I realized he is kind of where I want to be. Like, he's the kind of person who I, want to be like. And so I thought being friends with him is probably the good choice. But, and don't get me wrong, it was the right choice. But he was a bit, like, distant. I always felt like there's some sort of distance between him and I. So, and we didn't really share the same classes. We didn't really share the same breaks. We didn't really see each other that much. Majority of my time in college, and especially at home as well, was just alone. Like, I had no friends. I didn't, all like the texting apps like Instagram, Discord, everything like that was just fully dry. I went from having like notifications after notifications, not worrying about any class or whether I'm gonna have friends in this class or not. I went from all of that to everything just being dry. It's like it's almost like this house, like this haunted house that used to be this mansion that was like really posh and lavish, and it's just completely abandoned. There's nothing now. It's just nothing. But you're still forced to like live there. That's what it felt like for basically all of 2024. Near the end, I started to sort of talk to new people because they kind of, like, around the end of 2024, not end, probably I'd say, like, halfway through 2024, I kind of realized, okay, maybe I should start studying a bit more rather than just focusing on YouTube. Maybe that'll help. Like, I was just desperate. I was trying to do anything, right? So I started to focus my time a bit more on studying, and that was actually also kind of motivated by the friend that I started to be friends with in college, my only friend at the time, and it worked. I started to get really, really good grades in semester 2, in the second half of 2024, and some people started to notice that, and like these particular group of boys started to notice that. I don't feel comfortable saying names yet on YouTube. Maybe in the future we can, but I don't know. I don't want to say who people are, on the internet, because they might not want that, right? But near the end of 2024, I started to talk to new people for the first time. I literally went 9 months without talking to a single soul until September, like late September, where I finally started to talk to someone, like a couple people, and obviously that's other than my kind of friend that I had at the time. And they were like very popular people in the school. They were like they were kind of in the position that I was in last year, in the fact that they didn't have to worry about, they had friendship security. This is kind of like the term that I've coined for myself. Friendship security. It's where you don't have to worry about being alone in a class or whatever. Like, you always know that you're going to have someone to spend time with. And I started talking to these people. It was very uncomfortable because obviously it's like 10 months into college now. Everyone has friends. I should have started talking to people like 8 months ago in like February or March or even April, but it's October and I'm just starting to talk to, like, just put my foot out of the door, like literally my first toe out of the door. And nothing really happened after that in the summer holidays, but I kind of had made that start. That was very, very crucial, because in 2025, this is still college, this is year 12, this is just last year. This is the last year of college. It's only 2 years long. And this is when I decided to basically try to become friends with them. I was like, you know what, whatever I'm doing right now is not working. I was still, I hadn't fully cut out everyone from my old high school at this point in 2025, because these two people were still in like my classes. And I thought, you know what, let's just fully cut them out and just focus on these new friends that I just started to talk to a couple months back. And it was the best decision I made in college. The moment I started to like focus on myself and prioritize myself, and do the thing that's like awkward or uncomfortable, or might give you a couple stares, like, well, I thought he was always hanging out with these people, like, why is he hanging out with new people now? I was so afraid of that. And that's why I just never went out of my comfort zone. But as soon as I started to do that, things started to click. And I don't know why my hand hurts a lot right now, or my arm, I should say. But yeah, obviously at this point I was still doing pretty good in my studies. My grades were really, really good. And I started to talk to these new friends. And I really thought this was where, like, oh my god, like, the 2023, like, spark is coming back. Like, and 2025 was way better than 2024 for me. Like, it might not have been for you, but for me, it was way better. And I was like, let's go. Like, this is great, right? And it was great. And the first half of 2025 was just so grindy. Hold on. Just drink water. The first half of 2025 was so grindy, in the sense that I was trying to like really reach out, talk to as many people as I could, like, the shit that you were supposed to do like a year ago, but I'm just a late bloomer in every aspect of life. So instead of doing it in February 2024 or March 2024, April 2024, I was doing it in 2025, when people are already friends with each other and stuff like that. But I was like, you know what? Who cares? Like again, I'm sick of that mentality of not stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm just gonna do it. So I did, and it was good. It was good for me. I made more and more friends. I got invited to my first not party, but like a get together in April. It was for one of my friends' birthday, and at the time I thought, holy shit! Like this is the first time I've met people outside of school in 3 years. Like genuinely 3 years. And it kept happening. That wasn't just the first time in 2025. And I thought these friends were really, really like good, sound people. My grades started to increase even more. I was working out. I have like this home, like I have some like gym equipment in my home. Started doing that a lot. The first half of 2025 was really, really good in that regard. And I ended the semester with extremely good grades. And that's when I sort of realized I'm going to take studying very, very seriously in my last semester because, it's the last home stretch, might as well, right? I wanted to get like the highest, we call it ATAR in Australia, basically like the highest grade in your entire year group, and I didn't get it. I was off by 0.1, which, well, I think I'll make a separate video on that, but it's a pretty good story, but for the purpose of this story, the second half of 2025 was not like the first half. It almost kind of reminds me of a mountain. This is like the first half, and it was like it started low and it was going really, really high, and then the second half was like this. It started good, and then it just kept getting worse and worse, and that's because I started to get those red flags. More and more of these red flags. Or this is a towel, but more and more of those. I started to realize like the friends that I was with, like the new friends that I'd made, and I was pretty comfortable at this point as well. I was like comfortably in the friend group, which was really, really good. But it happened at the worst time possible because this was when I started to realize that these friends are also like racists and like basically menaces as well. And when you're like 14, 15 years old, it's not that bad. I mean, it's bad. I'm not saying it's not bad. It's bad, but it's not like horrible. But when you're 17, 18 years old and you're still like acting like a 13-year-old, it's pretty depressing. And of course, I'd already gone through that fire of like getting rid of friends and like cutting contact with friends who are not good people. And the fact that I found myself in the exact same position 2 years later, was pretty conflicting. And in like July, August, September, I was like, you know what, who cares, like let's just focus on my study. Like I was so focused on studying. There was a lot of shit happening. Like August was just like, I look back at August 2025 and it seems like a horror movie. Like it was just so much going on in August 2025. I had my these really, really big tests in August 2025, which basically determine your like overall college grade, and I did really, really bad in those, and that's probably why I was second place in in the whole big year group. I wasn't first, and I was beaten by 0.1. But yeah, like I got invited to a sleepover in September by one of my friends, and he this was the first sleepover I had gone to since early 2022. It had been 3.5 years since I've been invited to a sleepover, and I've gone to 3 sleepovers in my entire life. So there's that. That's a fun fact. And that sleepover was obviously like there was like 8 people, like eight friends, and you kind of realize like it turns late and you're like alone. There's no filters. There's no like you're in school. You're just at home. Like you're just at someone else's house, and there's nothing stopping anyone from saying whatever, right? So a lot of stuff was said, and a lot of stuff that made me think, wow, these are probably even like more menacing um, than my old high school friends. Um, and this is when I kind of started to realize that I'm gonna have to drop these friends as well, because I can't go into university with people who are like racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic, and all this stuff, right? And I'm not gonna make myself. I mean, naturally, I also started to sort of get those traits, and I also would start, making jokes just because I was in that environment. It's completely my fault, but I don't want to make myself look flawless. I also made mistakes, and yeah, it was basically already the end of year at this point. Like, this was late September, the sleepover. October, I got invited to my like first party, like a full-fledged party. There was like 60 people. It was at someone else's backyard. There was like music, and it was like late at night. This was the first party that I've ever been to in my entire life. And I thought, holy shit, this is really, really cool. But also in the back of my mind, it's like, enjoy it while it lasts, because first of all, college is now ending, and I was really, really scared to get into university, because like I'm doing so well in college. My grades are literally astronomical at this point, and I was scared to go into this environment where I'm gonna be again at the beginning, kind of like how I was in the beginning of college, in early 2024. I'm gonna be in this place where it's like I'm again in this new environment. I'm terrible at studying. I have no friends. I thought the exact same thing was gonna happen at the beginning of university. So instead of just like having fun, I was kind of like counting my days, if that kind of makes sense. And yeah, college ended. This is again like November. Like obviously nothing really happened. The main thing that happened in November was just studying. Like it was the final exams, like all the final subject exams. I was just trying absolutely, like giving my all basically to do those. And I finished pretty good, but it wasn't enough. And honestly, I'm not even that upset about it. Like, it would have been nice to get that number one place, but it is what it is. I was very, very close, and considering the circumstances and the fact that my first semester was just terrible, it didn't count because your worst semester does not get counted. But even with that momentum, like, sort of being like slowed in the first semester, me still doing so well, like I was still pretty happy with the fact that I was almost there to first place. And maybe if those big tests that I did in August, if I would have actually done well in them, and they're just like logic, like they're mainly just like logic and like English tests, and I suck at English. I hate English, not the language, just the subject in school and stuff. It's really not like, it's really not really, really not really. It's not really intended for like STEM students like me, or dumb students like me. Like I'm not intelligent, honestly. Like I'm pretty stupid. And yeah, I wasn't really that upset about that, really. Like it would have been nice. What I was more sort of, I guess, anxious about was like the fact that now college is over, and I don't know, like these new friends, they were obviously like very, very nice people, but like we wouldn't really talk outside of school. It was kind of like the same thing with my high school friends. We didn't really talk outside of school. It was just mainly when we were in school we would talk, but like I wasn't really invited that much. Like I was invited to that sleepover, that very first party that happened in April, and I was invited to that massive party with like 60 people that happened in October. That is it. That is literally it. 3 like get-togethers in a year. Any time else outside of school, we didn't hang out at all. So when summer holidays started, it was just radio silence. Now, I was kind of feeding into this because I knew that I wasn't going to be friends with these people anyway, but it was it gave me so much like deja vu. It was like flashback to literally beginning of college, beginning of 2024, where I'm in this brand new environment. I'm cutting out people rather than making new friends. I'm cutting friends. I suck at studying because obviously it's much like college was much harder than high school. Now university is obviously much harder than college, um, and I just don't have my shit straight. Like I don't have anything straight. I don't know how to do anything. This is my first time doing something like this. In college, it literally took 9 months for me to even get something right, and that was like studying. And I would say by June of last year, that was when I sort of mastered college. And June 2025, I would say, was probably the best month of 2025. Like, June 2025 was like, every single day in June 2025 felt like high school. It felt like I'd finally started to sort of get that spark again in my life. And that quickly, obviously, started to go away. And here we are in university. I'm 2 weeks into university. It's currently Friday, the 6th of March. This year is going so quickly. And it's definitely better now. Like, it's definitely better. I would not compare the beginning of university to the beginning of college. Like 2 years ago, when I cut out all those friends, because I've cut out I the most of my friends that I made in college, like at the ending of college, I don't talk to anymore. I talk to only two of them now, because they go to the same university as me. But otherwise, I don't really talk to anyone. Dude, I've been talking for so long. But it's better. It's not like the beginning of college. I can't say that confidently because I'm still in the beginning of university. I'm only 2 weeks down. I still have another 10 weeks to go until my first semester ends. So that's quite a while. But I would say the first 2 weeks of university are probably better than the first 2 weeks of college. I've made more friends. Since I kind of have that studying experience in college, I'm not finding it that difficult, but university, like high school, I used to go 5 days a week every single day. Well, 5 days a week every single week, 9 to 3 p 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. 6 hours a week every single week. That's 30 hours per week. 6 hours per day every single week, sorry. So that's 30 hours per week. And I used to do that 10 times per term, and there used to be 4 terms. So that's 40 weeks times 30 hours. In university, and by the way, I used to have 8 classes in college. 8. In university, it's 4 classes, and I only go 4 days a week. 2 of those days, I don't even go early. I go like 11 a.m., 12 p.m. Like, that's when my day starts. And 2 of those days, my day ends at 1 p.m. And it's still so much more, like, tiring and, like, taxing, honestly, is the correct word for it. Like, I'm literally paying, it feels like I'm paying not only, like, money to be there, but I'm paying with my, like, my mental health, almost, like, my mental capacity, my physical capacity. It feels like everything in my life is being tested by university, and I'm only 2 weeks in. I'd still say it's better than college, because college was basically, I was an idiot put into a new world. This time I'm not as much of an idiot. I'm still an idiot, but not as much of an idiot put into a new world. So it's not as bad, but I don't know. I've definitely started talking to new people. I've made, not friends, but I've talked to many people in these 2 weeks. I've gotten 5 new Instagrams, like 5 friends' Instagrams. So 5 people have given me the Instagrams, not girls, just 5 friends. Which is, you could say, it's not that much, but for me, I thought I wouldn't even get an Instagram until like the end of my first term, like until the end of the first like 6 weeks. I thought I wouldn't even get one in the first 6 weeks, and the fact that I got 5 in the first 2 weeks is pretty significant to me, honestly. That's pretty huge. And I've made this new channel now. You've heard me talk about it quite a bit, but the fact that I've made videos 3 days in a row. I recorded yesterday, which was the 5th. Today's the 6th, and I made my first video on the 4th. That I've never done that before, and I've been, like, my first channel was made in 2020, and I've never recorded 3 videos in 3 consecutive days. That's pretty cool. But yeah, it's just a busy life at this point, and university is definitely like there's just a lot of stuff in university. But yeah, I mean that's sort of my life. I still feel that I haven't fully gained all that color back in my life since leaving high school. Like 2024 just ruined me, honestly. 2025 was pretty good. There were a lot of good moments in 2025, but it was a very bittersweet ending because, like, in the end, I'm again now in the same place. Like, despite of everything that happened in 2025, I'm still in the same place that I was in the beginning of 2024, which sucks. It always sucks being in the same, like, going through this circle of like motion and going through so much but still ending back up in the exact same place. I know subconsciously, like, that's not true. I have done so much since then, but I don't know, it always just feels like you're in the same place again. It always feels like no matter what you do, you will still go back to that same point. And that's like I'm so familiar with this point of rock bottom. I don't know anything else. So where's my mind gonna go other than here? I don't know. I've just been talking, honestly. These are just the thoughts that I've had in my mind that I just haven't really had the chance to say to anyone. I mean, I've been recording for 37 minutes now. I'm not gonna talk to someone constantly for 37 minutes, right? Like, that's not possible. That's not how a conversation goes with someone, with another person. But in a YouTube sort of environment, that actually is how it goes. So if you're still watching this, then I don't believe you. Like, I don't believe the fact that you just spent like a big chunk of an hour just listening to my story and my words. I just don't have the, like, good enough, like, self-esteem to believe that anyone would even watch this far. And maybe no one will. You know what I mean? Like, maybe no one actually will, and maybe I'm just saying this for no reason at all. But I really hope that's not the case. I really hope that at least someone can watch this. Like, I've been, again, 6 years on YouTube, right? And I've never really gained anything. Like, like the YouTube analytics, like all the stats that they show you, it's just, my videos go like this, like the retention, it goes like this, and then in the first 30 seconds, no one's watching the video anymore. Like, first 30 seconds goes by and, like, everyone's already clicked off, and it's always pained me to see that. And I guess this is the kind of the point of this channel. I'm kind of over it at this point. I don't really care if no one watches this. This is just for my own documentation. So if you are still watching this, then thank you, honestly. Thank you so much. That I still can't believe that anyone, like, will be able, like, will be willing enough to give so much of their time to to someone on the internet that they've never seen before, especially someone like me. I just don't. I just refuse to believe that anyone will do that to me. But if you are actually watching this, then I don't know. Thank you. Really, from the bottom of my heart. I'll keep continuing to make videos like this because it's really, really fun to make. And it's really, really fun to get my points across. Again, this is not something that you can, unless you have a really, really good listener in real life, you're not going to have someone who's just going to listen to you for 40 minutes. Like, and for good reason, because, like, you can't just listen to someone for 40 minutes. But in a YouTube sort of environment, you kind of, that's kind of the point. So, yeah. That's really about it. I just wanted to share this sort of side of my life. I've always been meaning to sort of say this to someone, and if YouTube is how I do it, then I'm fine with it, because this is a very, very personal sort of topic for me. This is like many, many years of my life, many, many failures, many like ending up in the same place as I started with, many just wasted opportunities, and yeah, it means a lot to me. So thank you if you are still here. I will end the video now. Thank you so much.